Hey, beautiful human, it's me, Rebecca Weiner McGregor, the Anxiety Eraser, and welcome to another episode of Effective Immediately, the show where we talk mindset, abundance, leadership, and I give you a mindset shift that you can use effective immediately. So thank you so much for joining me today. And today we're talking about these moments in life when we have this edge to us where we feel like we must compete. These moments when we feel like, even though no competition has been explained, that there is this underlying thread that says, we're in competition with one another. Now, let's talk about just where this comes from. First of all, it comes from our conditioning in society, in our culture, that it is very natural and normal to see women competing against one another in subtle ways, right? It's kind of a quiet competition sometimes. I mean, we watch reality television and sometimes there is the obvious competition as well. This comes from growing up in a household where we had to fight for attention. We had to fight for love, or we thought we did, at least, right? We thought we had to fight for attention. We thought we had to fight for love. We thought that we had to be the best in order to be fully loved. These are stories that our young brains can start to tell us very early on, and they may be not true in our family looking back, but very true in our subconscious mind based on what we were thinking in our very young brain, right? So as we go through today, I want you to always imagine that you are collecting data here about yourself and not in a place of judgment of yourself, okay? Judgment is unnecessary here. But I want you to think about I'm going to give you some examples of moments that competition might come up, right? Especially if you're a competitive person growing up, you were an athlete or a musician or things like that, where the competition was just in you. It was bred in you because you had to win to be the best. You had to win for your work or for your sport. You had to win to get to the next chair. You had to beat out other people to win, right? So there's that level of competition that comes too. Now imagining that feeling has never quite gone away because it's in so many of your subconscious files. Just imagining that is still there. Not right or wrong, just knowing, looking at the fact that it might still be there and often still is. Okay? In addition to that, when women started going into the workforce, there were only a few spots open for women. I mean, you've heard all the time, like, she was the first woman in this department. She was the first woman at this company. She was the first CEO of this company. She was the first female CEO. She was the first female whatever, right? That there were so few spaces for women that we started to be in competition with one another. And we've all heard the statements like keeping up with the Joneses. You know, one family has this, the other family has to get that to keep things even and be, as good as one another, right? Cultivating this winner versus loser cycle. And those are just a few of the ways that it shows up for us. So imagining then that these things are in our files, they are talked about in our families, they're talked about at our work, they're talked about at our schools. And so these things become part of the way that we are. But what happens for women, because we are hardwired to work together, we do better in collaboration. We start to break our relationships. We start to break those bonds, and we are in competition with one another. And what happens then is this, as I mentioned, the winner versus loser cycle. That is extremely painful, because if you're competing with someone and they don't even know you're competing with them, right? Then who's the winner? Who's the loser? we're always going to be the loser, right? We might have moments where it feels like it looks better on the outside than that person's, but we never will know for sure. And often when we're competing in this way, as we're scrolling through social media, looking at how great everyone else's life looks, we're often seeing just a very tiny piece of reality. Now, what happens when we're in competition? We actually step into a form of survival mode because it's so important for us to win. This creates stress. This creates anxiety. This creates fear. This creates inauthenticity. The stress of being the best all the time, it borders on that perfectionism, which is really trying to be the good girl, trying to be the best girl, trying to do everything right so everybody loves me, so nobody leaves me, all of that good stuff, right? That cultivates that space of anxiety where you're on edge all the time. I felt like somebody heard that. Somebody felt that inside of them. So be really loving with yourself, okay? Where that feeling is right there, where you never quite feel good enough. You never quite know what your next step is. There's like a confusion that builds because I don't know how to be better than that person because that desire to compete is so strong. So here's what happens when we're in competition all the time. Outside of a true competition like the Olympics, I'm talking about, when we're competing with people around us, we create a distance between us and them. Oh, if their life is better and my life is worse, or my life is better and their life is worse, we create an us, them, and a space between them. This creates disconnection. Now, if you are competing all the time with other people, that competition is going to be brought into your family. You're going to be competing against your family members. You may even be competing at times against your own children. Unconsciously, right? As you are competing with everyone, creating that separateness and creating that disconnection, you're actually creating a feeling of scarcity and lack. Competition is only here in this moment because somewhere inside the subconscious mind, it says there's not enough for everyone. I must be better so I can get my portion. I must do better so that I can have what I'm supposed to have. Okay, so take a breath. Just let that settle in. Notice where in your life this may be happening. Notice the most obvious places where it might be showing up. If you've already done some work in this area, it's huge. Congratulations. It's not wrong to have these thoughts. I want to acknowledge that. Last week, of course, we talked about how our feelings are wrong, or that was a recent podcast drop. And I want you to recognize this feeling isn't wrong. None of your feelings are wrong, but you do have the opportunity to shift into more beneficial thoughts, more beneficial feelings. Okay, here's what happens. Let's focus on this abundant mindset that we're all trying to have, okay? Here's something that's really important. When we create that disconnection, when we feel that scarcity mindset, then there's a piece of that scarcity that goes into everything that we do. Who we are, how we are being, our state, our energy, our emotion gets carried into every experience that we have. If we feel like we must be in competition because there's not enough to go around in one area of our lives, it's like the old smoking section at the restaurant. Remember how there was a part of the restaurant where people could smoke way back when? And how the smoke never really stayed there? It kind of found its way into the other places in the restaurant. How we are in one area of our lives will always leak into other areas of our lives. That's why when I work with people, we work on the whole life. We work on every part of you to make sure that every part of your life to make sure that you're feeling the way that you want to feel. You have the energy and emotion that you want to have so that you carry that into every experience in your life. Remember, you are the common denominator of every experience in your life. So when you have a collaborative mindset, when you have released that feeling, that need to be in the competitive mindset, when you release the need to be in that competitive mindset, you open yourself up to connection and the feeling of abundance, which then you get to carry into every area of your life. You get to carry that into your family, where there's always enough love to go around. There's always enough connection to go around. There's always enough play to go around. There's always enough time to do everything that you want to do. Being in that competitive mindset will shift the way that you feel about money. It will shift the way that you feel about time. These are the number one and number two most common limiting beliefs that people have about success. I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough time. So wouldn't you love to get more of that for yourself? Think about then what happens when you step into the idea that there is plenty to go around for everyone. That when you have that mindset and you begin to collaborate with someone, what you can experience, what you can co-create together. Because imagining if you're feeling competition in your life and you're feeling competitive to people who are similar to you, these will be your clients, these will be your teammates, these will be your mentors, these will be your coaches, these will be your healers, etc. When we are in that competitive mindset and we're separate, there's that underlying fear that they're going to do better somehow. When we release that, we get to come closer, we get to have authentic conversations, we get to co-create really spectacular transformation together. If these things are popping up in your life in different areas, and they're popping up in your business, they're popping up when you're working with a particular kind of client, or you're deciding whether to step into mentorship with someone, you want to be able to create a strong connection and an authentic and loving space with lots and lots of trust. If we have this underlying feeling of constantly competing with everyone, it's really hard to create that authentic feeling and that feeling of trust. Okay, give yourself a breath. As I said, these feelings aren't wrong, but what I want to do today is really bring your awareness to when this happens, to how this happens. As we begin to collaborate then, as we leave this old feeling of competition behind, we get to feel better about ourselves. We get to feel stronger confidence and self-worth because we trust ourselves. We trust the process. We trust the collaboration. What an amazing feeling to shift into, right? To know that we trust ourselves, that we have enough, and that everything that is meant for us will always find us. That we can enter into these relationships, taking responsibility for our actions, taking responsibility for our portion that we need to be responsible for, and trusting that there's no competition happening, only collaboration. In a space like that, the ideas and the innovation that can come are extremely powerful when we are free to be creative. Because the only thing, and I want to reiterate this, the only thing that will stop your creative channel, that will stop your power of creativity, is fear. And being in competition is rooted in a fear that there's not enough. Give yourself a breath and take that in. The only thing that will stop your channel of creativity is fear. And the thing that will stop your ability to collaborate is the fear that there's not enough for you. Abundance is not a pie that you have to figure out how to get your slice of the pie. Abundance is that you have your own pies. And in this infinite universe, there are infinite pies. You don't ever have to worry about there not being enough for you. Any feelings of scarcity that you have that have come from your childhood beliefs, your childhood experiences, trauma that you've experienced since childhood that is added to that, can be rewired, can be reframed, so that you can know and trust that there is plenty, and honestly, not just plenty, but there's overflow available for everyone. Let that sink in. There is overflow for everyone. So when we get into these collaborative places and we release the fear that there's not enough, we open that creative channel and the ideas can come pouring in. How can we make this better? How can we improve this? What can we do? How can we bring our audiences together? How can we bring our ideas and our concepts together? How can we work together for the benefit of all? Just think about how that feels in your body. What it feels like to be released from the idea that there's not enough, that there's just a certain amount that you can get, and to step into the idea that there is plenty for everyone. And the reminder that what is meant for you will always find you. So that you don't have to think about that. You don't have to worry about that. You can simply focus on bringing the transformation, your magic, your medicine to the world. And knowing and trusting that the people you're meant to work with will find you. The people that you're meant to teach, you're meant to help transform, you're meant to help co-create healings and transformations with, that you will find one another. You will find one another because that is what is meant for you. So you can leave the idea that you're racing against someone else to get to these clients. And you can fully take on the trust and the knowing that when you put out your messages, when you put out your marketing, you share with the world who you are in an authentic way, from love and from ideas and from your innovation, from your creativity, that you can have it the way that you want it. And truly, there's no competition, because not only is what is meant for you will always find you, but your specific way of doing things with your fingerprint is so unique that no one else can do what you do just like you. What a fun place to be, right? What a loving place to live, knowing and trusting that you can deliver what you want the way that you want it, and the people who are meant to have an experience with you will find you, and you will find them. Whoa, right? What a fun, simple way to let go of all the other gunk that we have to compete with one another. As you continue to release yourself of this competitive mindset, stepping into collaboration, you will then get the opportunity to have experiences where you are sharing referrals, you are sharing programs, you are being connected to other people's audiences. And the ideas and the opportunities will flow in such an easy fashion. Let me use being on someone's podcast as an example. Say you decide to go on someone's podcast and be interviewed, right? And they're talking to you. You have similar work that you do. You're bringing your expertise to their channel. The fun part here is that you're not competing with them for their people. You're reaching the people that are already in their audience that will never work with them because they love the information, they love the inspiration, they love the way that this person delivers the podcast, for example, but they might never choose that person for whatever reason, whatever obvious reason, because they're not meant to work with them. What if you going on their podcast, being in full, loving, building up the host, building yourself up, feeling no competition, feeling only collaboration, knowing and trusting that you always have enough, you always have plenty, you can always have overflow, and the people that you're supposed to work with will always find you. Imagine being on that interview and thinking, I know that I can build up this person. I can build myself up. I can feel safe here to express myself. And the people who I'm meant to work with, who will hear this and reach out to me, that's already handled. It's already done. All I have to do is show up and be my most authentic self. Be generous, be loving, be kind, be collaborative, and it will do the job for me. Whoa. What a powerful experience, right? Now, I've been on 60 or 70 podcasts myself. I love being interviewed on other people's podcasts. And I love the idea that we get to bring our passions together. We get to bring our ideas together. We get to collaborate and have fun together and help and inspire and move awarenesses for the people who are listening to us just by our being together. And that's just one way of collaboration. Okay, so are you ready for your mindset shift of the week? Here is your effective immediately moment of the week. When you are feeling like you're not doing enough because you're seeing what someone else is doing. Oh, they've already done the thing that I want to do. I can't do it now. Or, oh my gosh, they're doing something that's so cool. That looks so good on them. Maybe I should do that. I want you to put your hand on your heart. Of course, give yourself a breath. And I want you to remind yourself, I have infinite pies. There's plenty for me. There's plenty for them. Am I excited about this because it's right for me? Or am I just excited about it because it looks really good on them and I want that for myself? Really stepping into understanding and checking in with yourself. Is this something I'm really passionate about? Or do I just feel like I need it because they have it? There are no wrong answers here. Simply new awarenesses and new understandings. Okay, beautiful. As you move through the week, I want you to be super loving with yourself as you begin to notice these little moments where you are in competition, and think about how you can bring that feeling of there's always enough, there's always plenty into your life, and how that can create powerful, powerful collaboration. If you want to work on releasing this competitive thing, you want to release the beliefs that there's not enough for you, or that you're not worthy enough, or that some things like success aren't meant for you, please reach out to me. This is the work of my life, the work of my heart, and my desire is for you to feel like you have access to everything that you need all the time, without anxiety, without anger, without depression, and for you to have your creative channel fully open all the time. You can connect with me through RebeccaWiener.com, or if you're ready to book a call with me to see what our work together would look like, you can go to callwithrebecca.com, or you can send me a DM around wherever you see this message. Have a beautiful week. Take wonderful care of yourself, and be so loving, looking for opportunities to collaborate with others. Bye for now.